In half a mile, turn right onto Centerville Rosebud Road Southwest. Turn right onto Centerville Rosebud Road Southwest. In half a mile, turn left onto Rosebud Road.
Let me get any.
Exit the parking lot toward Centerville Rosebud Road Southwest.
On. This side. Damn.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Injustice for All with Judge Joe Brown. Yes, you see me on the screen. Usually you don't. And the only reason why you see me on the screen is because we have a special guest, Miss Rosemary out of Ohio. She's running for Congress, District 1 of Ohio, Republican ticket. So she's going to be the first person we bring up to talk to. She's going to, she's been on the show before, on the Man Up Show. So she's going to give us an update on her campaign, talk about her agenda. And of course, we have to talk about Jasmine Crockett and her defeat this week from the Texas Senate. What went wrong and the sister girl era is done with. And then I also want to ask Rosemary a question when it comes to Black people and political funding, right? And then, Judge, we got to talk about the U.S.-Iran war, Operation Fury. Got to talk about that as well to give people an update on that. So let's bring in Miss Rosemary. Oh, hi, Judge.
Hello there.
Hi.
See, I'm being proper today.
How are you doing, Miss Rosemary Henry? Always tear up your last name.
I know, it's okay. And that's why I told everybody, just call me Rosemary or call me Miss Rosemary. Oglesby Henry. Oglesby Henry.
Miss Oglesby.
Oglesby Henry.
I got it. I've encountered Oglesbys in the past. I grew up on the West Coast, and I had a sojourn in D.C. and Chicago and all of the other places where they speak English without quite such a drawl.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I got that right. There you go. Okay.
Welcome back. Love having you on. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, so my name is Rosemary Oglesby Henry. I am a Republican candidate for U.S. Congress, 1st District. And if you are in Ohio, that is the districts of Clinton County, Warren County, and Hamilton County, at least certain parts of Hamilton County, mostly Cincinnati, which we know is blue. but yeah, so Hamilton County, Warren County, and Clinton County.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell us how the campaign is going since the last time you've been on the show. How's it going?
Yeah, so the campaign is going well. I think we're down to the primary is May the 5th. So what is this? What month is this? April, March, April, May. So we've got a little over a month or so. So everybody's kind of driving up marketing and media. We're about to start our door knocking. That's going to be a lot of fun, and just of the party, because you need the party to go pull a ballot and vote for you. And in Cincinnati, I have to flip voters and get these independents to go pull a Republican ballot in order for me to win my primary race. And now I'm in a 4-way primary. So yeah, it's heavy competition. I am the first Black Republican to run for this seat. No woman has ever won it. But I'm excited. I'm a different type of candidate, and I've got some great support behind me as far as people, because now they're looking for those outsiders that, aren't endorsed, those that speak a different language and are really for the people. And we're starting to see that within the party. Like, oh my goodness, things are changing.
Right. Before we get into
the party is beginning to get like everybody else. They want to see something new instead of something picked for them behind closed doors and what do they used to call it, smoke-filled rooms. But I guess they're healthier these days.
Yeah.
Not so much smoke.
Yeah, there was a lot of kickback recently because the Ohio Republican Party endorsed in the primary, and people were like asking, like, don't endorse. The primary is where you battle it out, and we had a lot of those seats endorsed. There was a lot of kickback when they endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy, and now there's 2 other people in that Republican Republican race for governor. And so it's really fired up, and the base is like, it forces the base to get to know the candidate, and just not vote the ticket. And I'm excited about that, because if you just vote the ticket, you might miss out on an opportunity.
You mind if I use that? I'm director of communications for a lady here in Memphis, Charlotte Bergman, who's also running as a Black woman for the Republican nomination for Congress. Say that again. I like that one.
I don't even know what I said. Look, I would just be talking. What did I say?
Voting the ticket. And not
just voting a traditional ticket, you'll miss opportunities to support candidates that might actually have your voice. So I think the party is saying something like vote outsider, hashtag vote outsider. So that again, you're not just voting for the standard.
Vote the candidate, not the ticket.
Yeah, look at the person and not necessarily the party ticket. And so because the endorsed candidate might not even match your views or your religious beliefs. Yesterday I talked to a person that was a judge, and he's like, Rosemary, you're a Christian, and he's like, I'm gonna vote my religion. And the person that has maybe raised the most money in my race doesn't align with their, this judge's religious values or his personal ones. But this is the one they're kind of like trying to catapult forward in front of everybody. And they're like, no, this girl is very different. She has something to say. She has a light, and she has roots and in the community, and she understands the people and what we need in Ohio's 1st district. And so I'm excited to have those people come forward and be like, hey, let's invite her in some more rooms.
May I give you a suggestion I've given my candidate, which is when you're growing up, whether you grew up in a Jewish community, Italian one, Irish, Black community, and you had a neighborhood pick up ball game at the park or something, did you choose the people on your team based on what they looked like or how they could perform?
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, well, we tried to get the best team so we can beat the other guys, then that's in the rest of life. Why should you go around trying to get your team just because of their ethnicity rather than their capacity?
Exactly.
So you can say, I'm capable. I'm not offering myself just because of my demographic description is what I can do for you.
Allred has already stated, we encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So I am asking you, I am begging you to make sure that you go ahead and figure out where it is that you are supposed to vote, stand in line, wait in line.
So that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion, based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County. Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So, I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're gonna get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow. So, I love y'all too. Thank you so very much for being here. Love you down. I love you down, Dallas.
Yeah, and I think we all saw that with the race with Jasmine Crockett. I was very late. I mean, from an outsider looking in, she never talked about her policy. She never talked about what she was going to do. It was this TDS, and it was, I'm Black, and you saw the code switching in different rooms. And when people actually asked me, how can I get people to vote for me? I said, I'm going to talk about my policies. I'm going to talk about the work that needs to be done. I'm not going to spend my days talking about what the propaganda wants to push me to talk about, because there are greater things happening in Southwest Ohio, and I need to talk about this. I need to talk about the Rosemary Red Standard. And I think that Jasmine Crockett, they didn't cheat her. You cheated yourself, because you had this unique opportunity to be a voice and talk about what you would do differently in that seat, and it just fell flat. Because, and to shout out discrimination, race, all the other things, here's a person that says there's no voter fraud, and now you're yelling voter fraud and
yeah, isn't it ironic? And the other thing too, you're trying to play that sister girl thing, and your daddy, a preacher, sent you to a finishing school instead of high school with the $50-some thousand a year. You went to a private college in Memphis, Tennessee, Rhodes College, which, by the way, since she appeals to the woke crowd, you know what it used to be known as?
What is
the
that?
Masonic University of Tennessee. So how does that resonate with her demographic? It doesn't.
Exactly.
And when you examine her record, what did she do other than say, you should support whatever I do because of my description? And she didn't do anything. So I always said, and I've said, she had about a chance of the proverbial snowball escaping from hell with going into this trying to expect to run. And I think maybe it was just to set up something about they picked on me because I am. No, you just don't have any capacity to do anything. So even if it was an all-black situation, I wouldn't vote for you, because you don't have what you need to do what you're supposed to do. But
I want to go in here. The whole sister girl era. I said this when I did a show yesterday. It's done with. It's over. I think Kamala sucked the life out of that, because you did see a lot of black women voices in politics more on the Democrat. And then but now that I'm starting to see black people, particularly black women, running for office on a Republican. So we have you in Ohio. We have two people running in the state of Illinois, one for Senate and one for Congress, the House. And I had both of them on the show as well. And honestly, the difference is you guys are not running on identity politics.
No.
You're running on and what the people need.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't want anybody to, while I am the first black Republican to get on a ticket or whatever, I don't want the vote because I'm black and because you should vote for me because, no, I challenge both sides. Look at my resume. Look at the work that I've done in Ohio and nationally. Ask me questions. Research me. Get to know me, the candidate, outside of just my race. And more than that, I grew up in the hood, and I always tell people I go between cussing and Christ. But whether I'm in front of you or whether the cameras are off, you're going to get the same Rosemary across the board, and that's what people know. So when you go to playing against social norms and emulating the negative aspects of black culture, and that's what Jasmine Crockett did. So for me, being a person, I was highly offended when you would do all of this and and it's like you are one of the most, you have more education than you're in the top, 3 or 5% of Americans that have master's degrees, and you have a legal degree, you have a law degree. And so you don't have to emulate the negative views of black culture in order to fit in. But that shows me that there's an identity issue with you, because I'm going to be Miss Rosemary regardless of what room I walk in, and I
agree with you. That's profound. You put it well. We don't
Dumb down.
assign hero status to Jackie Robinson for being hired because he was black to play for the Dodgers. We say, wow, this guy was the best, and that's why they hired him. My classmate, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is the GOAT for the NBA, but they didn't hire him because he was black. They hired him because of what he could do.
Yes.
See? And also, you know, it's like the well-rounded nature. He's a scholar. He writes scholarly books. Jackie Robinson, you know, was a scholar at UCLA and an Army officer in World War II. So we forget that. He was somebody that was one of the first to refuse to go to the back of the bus, but he was just coming off duty, so he pulled his pistol out and said, somebody's going to die tonight for me. He didn't go peacefully. But you see, we forget these indicia of excellence because over the last 50 years, we've been constantly bombarded with dogma and propaganda that says you're supposed to get it just because of what you are, even if you're lazy, shiftless, stupid, pathetic, and ignorant.
And there's something to be said about being one of the extraordinary. You know, to be your Jordan, to be your, you know, your Whitney Houston, to be extraordinary. You know, even Barack, it takes an extraordinary person to get to a position of president. You only choose one, you know, every 4 years. And I'm not saying he was the best at what he did, but imagine the will and the forcefulness and resilience to be able to get through all of
Crockett and Al Green lost their jobs today, along with a lot of other Democrats in Texas, and that's something we could talk about, but we're not going to. We're going to talk about a couple other things. We could talk about the fact that Iran and the altercation between Iran and the U.S. and Israel and numerous other Middle East countries has, you know, continued to get a little bit bigger. We're going to talk about that a different day as well. Today, what we're going to talk about is what is not being talked about. Well, everybody's focused on Jasmine Crockett, everybody's focused on Iran, and everybody, we have been here also focused on Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and their Epstein deposition. While all of that has been going on, there's been other stuff happening in the background. And one of the things that's been happening in the background actually came to a head today, I guess would be the right way to phrase this. Today is Wednesday, March the 4th. It is hump day, my dudes and dudettes. But today, Nancy Mace, Representative Nancy Mace, you guys know her. She's the Republican who's been against Tim McBride, Sarah McBride, the fake chick with the dick, been against that person using the women's restrooms in the halls of Congress and whatever else, because men don't belong in women's spaces. Even if you're dressed as a woman, you're still not a woman. She has been trying to make it so that all of the slush money that has been used over the years to kind of cover up the misdeeds of people in political power. She's wanted to make it so that we could all see exactly who's been paying hush money to people. And so Congress voted today to defeat an effort by Representative Nancy Mace that would make public all reports of allegations of congressional lawmakers and aides accused of sexual misconduct or harassment, which is crazy to me that the House killed her efforts. Now, are we really surprised though? Because that's my question here. Are we really surprised that the House was like, listen, we don't really want people to know where their taxpayer money is going, because it is taxpayers who are paying these hush monies to people, right? They don't want us to know where our money is going, number one. But the same people, ironically, that were screaming about the Epstein files being released and now they want to know all the stuff, don't want to vote to let this stuff through. You know why? Because now that the Epstein files have been released, they're seeing their names pop up. They're seeing things pop up that they were hoping would never be brought to light. So when you have Representative Nancy Mace here trying to bring even more debauchery, I think would be a really good word for this, to light, they are literally cowering, quivering, whatever word you want to use there, because they're scared of what could come of this. So there is a video that I just want to show you. There's a couple of videos, but this one is a visibly frazzled Democrat rep. Her name is Yas Ansari. She announced that she just voted to subpoena AG Pam Bondi and claims she will be held accountable for her handling of the Epstein files. Biden had the files for 4 years and we didn't hear a word from this woman. But this is, to me, the ironic part. They are now going to subpoena Pam Bondi to go testify against the Epstein files. At the same time, they are sitting there and voting no to let what they have done in the dark come to light. The people that are still speaking out, I think, about releasing Epstein files and wanting people to be held accountable are the ones who have clean hands, right? So this lady may have clean hands, this Democrat, but the ones who are voting no to let all this other stuff be brought to light clearly have dirty hands. And the fact is, they voted, 357 voted no to let it through. 65 voted yes to let it through. That tells you that 357 people in the House are disgusting human beings who would rather keep us in the dark than bring to light the things that have been done. One of the quotes here said, so basically 357 members of the House are guilty of sexual misconduct. Of course. Am I surprised? I'm not surprised. I'm sure you're not surprised. But I want you to hear the little TikTok video, because you know how Democrats like to make TikToks. I want you to hear the video from the Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari when it comes to the Epstein files and Pam Bondi.
Huge news, everyone. On a bipartisan basis, the Oversight Committee just voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi. This means that she will have to come before the Oversight Committee and answer questions about her egregious cover-up of the Epstein files.
Now, the reason I find that part interesting, her egregious cover-up of the Epstein files, guess what she was not part of for the 4 years that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in office and could have released the Epstein files. She had no say in any of that. So for the Democrats now to still be pissy about that is absolutely crazy and stupid, in my personal opinion. But back to the Nancy Mace situation. So what happened here? Nancy Mace actually posted this about an hour ago. She said the loudest voices screaming, release the Epstein files, just voted to bury the sexual harassment files of members of Congress. Do you guys get it now? Which is a good question, because it is hypocrisy at its absolute finest, okay? Now I want you to listen to what Anna Paulina Luna has to say. She is a representative here in Florida about all of this. I want you to listen to her, then we're going to listen to Lauren, and then we've got a gentleman who decided to speak up as well. But first, let's listen to Anna.
All right, I support Representative Mace's subpoena here, as well as the amendment to it. And I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics, where you know it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. Yep. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him.
That was the Tony Gonzalez, I believe. Tony Gonzalez is his name, in Texas. I believe he's a Republican, though, which is, you know, there's bad shit on both sides, obviously. But that is crazy to me that he convinced this worker of his, an aide of his. I don't know her exact part in his area, his cabinet. I don't know if that's the right word for what Tony Gonzalez was or is. But he convinced her to have like this sexual relationship with him, and then basically dropped her, and then she sets herself on fire. It is crazy situation. But anyway, back to Anna here.
Protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass it, yeah, of course we should subpoena all of this stuff. But just, I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up, and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this. I hope it goes back, I think, to the 70s, because it's wrong that it's happening. It's wrong that we cover up for it. It's wrong that we can't censor our own side because people are busy making deals because you guys don't want to censor your side. It's a deal that's been cut. People hate us for it. So yeah, support it. Thank you.
What's crazy is she talks just as fast as I do. I love it. Now, for those of you who are asking, you know, what exactly is the House Oversight Committee? What is all this other stuff that that is going on? I wanted to give you a little bit of background on this, because I wanted to make sure I had all the information here to give you, because like I said, I'm learning as we go. Y'all need to learn too. And so I was kind of curious. I was like, you know, how many members of the House have paid off people in sexual misconduct cases? Because obviously there has been enough that this is now something that's being brought and trying to be opened up for the entire world, actually, to see what's been going on. But according to everything, there's not an exact number of current or former U.S. House members who have personally paid off, or whose offices have paid off individuals in sexual misconduct cases. It's not publicly known in full detail, and here's the reason why. Because settlements handled through the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights, which is formerly the Office of Compliance under the Congressional Accountability Act, are confidential by design, with limited disclosures of names or specific. Most settlements are not broken down publicly by individual member, type of claim, or chamber, meaning House versus Senate or whatever. And they often cover a range of workplace issues beyond just sexual misconduct. You can think about discrimination, pay disputes, any kind of random thing there, right? Now, it says here that since 1997, though, The office has paid out around $17 to $18 million across roughly 264 to 291 total settlement/awards for workplace disputes in Congress overall. This includes the House, it includes the Senate, includes the Capitol Police, and numerous others, right? Not all are sexual misconduct related, and not all involve members' offices. Some involve staff or other entities. And then it says here, a small subset specifically involves sexual harassment or misconduct claims against members' offices. For example, from 2003 to 2017, data released that there were reports of around 13 to 15 claims settled with taxpayer funds involving sexual harassment/sex discrimination against members or their offices, totaling about 300,000 in some periods there. And then it says specific known cases where a House member's involvement was publicly revealed, often after like a leak or they resigned or something else. They are rare, but there have been a couple. So one of them was Representative Blake Farenthold, Representative Republican from Texas, $84,000 in taxpayer money settled in 2015 for a sexual harassment claim by a former staffer. And then he later pledged to repay it. Like he was going to pay back that money. I guess once he either resigned or was let go, he's like, I got to give the money back. That's taxpayer money, whatever. And then you have Representative John Conyers, Democrat out of Michigan, I think it was, $27,000 settlement paid from his office budget, not the main fund, for a related claim. So again, still taxpayer money at the end of the day. And there's been numerous other ones. And then they had reforms in 1995. There was a Congressional Accountability Act of 1995 Reform Act, changed the process. Members must now personally reimburse the Treasury for such settlements, reducing but not eliminating taxpayer-funded payouts and increasing personal accountability, which again is why they probably don't want this stuff brought to light, because if it has been paid out by taxpayer money, I don't know how long they have until they have to repay it back. Is it once they're out of office they pay it back? And then you look at how long, these people's, there's no term limits for a lot of these people. They're in these positions forever and a day. Will it ever get fully paid back? And then, so you have all that stuff. So I wanted to give you that little bit of information there before we continue on with exactly what's happening here. So they voted 357 to whatever, what number did I give you guys? 357 to 65 to block it, right? So then you have here Lauren Boebert. I never say her name right. It's not on purpose, but she had something to say about it as well. And I think you guys should hear from her, because a lot of women are the ones who are on the receiving end of a lot of this sexual misconduct. So when women are speaking up and saying, hey, listen, I want these people held accountable, I feel like we need to listen to them.
I'm absolutely disgusted that we couldn't even get to 50 members of Congress who want immediate transparency. Don't we all campaign on transparency? Don't we all go out and tell the American voters that we are leaders and that we are going to get justice for them, that we are going to do right by them? And then we hire their daughters to come work for us, and your tax dollars, millions and millions of dollars, has been used in this slush fund as hush money to silence victims who have been sexually harassed, sexually abused by.
So, I mean, there's a lot there that we can go through, but I mean, it makes sense to want these things brought to light, right? This is what's crazy to me. Even Ron DeSantis, my governor here in Florida, is like, this is why we should have term limits, because these things have got to stop. But here you have Tim Burchett, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace talking about all this when it was said and done after the vote came out. And I want you to hear from a male voice as well, not just the ladies, exactly how he feels about it. Listen.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. The House just did the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. We just voted to cover up sexual harassment of employees by members, if you can believe that. I got the sponsor right here with me, got Boebert. Y'all tell him what happened.
It's shameful. They voted against my resolution that would reveal members of Congress who sexually harass employees on the Hill, women on the Hill, in the campaigns, lobbyists, etc. Shameful. So I don't want to hear.
They sent it to the ethics committee. So a bunch of congressmen are going to investigate themselves.
So let it go get hidden, right?
Yeah, this is exactly where bills go to die. So her privileged resolution is being sent to the ethics committee for members of Congress to investigate themselves. And remember, this is your tax dollars that were used in this hush money.
Yes, how many millions are in that thing? They said there's millions.
Some years there's like 4 or 5 million that went to a slush fund that paid for members of Congress with your tax dollars to allow them to go sexually harass people on the Hill. And then the second thing is I want to say is I don't want to hear another word about Epstein or Epstein victims by a single person, Republican or Democrat, that voted against revealing sexual harassment on the Hill.
Let's get that lit.
I agree with that completely. Like you can't push for one while trying to silence the other. It's hypocritical in the biggest sense of the word. So then, y'all, after all of those videos come out, maybe an hour ago, Anna Paulina Luna posted it passed, and I was like, wait a second. I thought that it had got shot down. How did this pass or whatever else? I was very confused. So I had to go ask the questions because it makes it very confusing when you're trying to keep up with what's going on in the political world. They do not make it easy to understand what's happening. I think for a lot of people in politics, a misinformed, uninformed, or confused people are a little easier to control. And I'm not talking, Democrat, Republican. I'm just talking politics in general. I think it's easier if we stay a little bit confused on what's happening. That way they always have like a foot up or a head up or whatever you want to call it. So I asked the questions, right? I'm like,